Rather than wasting time being annoyed because there's no such planning to do for the future, stop and remind yourself to be here now, as my friend Ram Dass suggests in the title of his famous book. To do so, befriend the now. See it as your ally, the only place you've ever been or ever will be. And do a brief meditation reminding yourself what this life experience is all about. One of my favorite techniques to bring me squarely into alignment with the present is to imagine what all of God's beautiful creatures do in every moment of their existence. They're not concerned with their demise. They bask in the exhilaration of the now. Every moment is fully experienced. I don't see any creatures seemingly hating what they're doing, cursing their lot in life, or arguing with themselves or each other over it. They don't make life an enemy and use up their precious moments in a state of anxiety or depression. Our relationship to the present moment defines our relationship to life itself. One of the great insights I've ever had concerns my experiences of time as the ultimate illusion. I think about it in this way. Whatever has happened in the past, no matter how many years, centuries, or millennia ago, all took place in the now. Just now. There's no way to experience anything other than in the precious present moment. Thus, the idea that it happened in the past must be an illusion, since everything only gets experienced now. The time thing is a grand illusion. The same logic applies equally to the future. Whatever we fantasize about happening then will also only take place in the now. All we get is now, now, now. Time is what we seem to be measuring with wristwatches, clocks, and calendars, but in fact it's all nothing more than a series of present moments. The message then in this excuses be gone paradigm is that being in the now will help you overcome all of your explanations for why you aren't living at your highest level. Your relationship to life itself reflects your relationship to the present moment. So if your head is filled with frustrating or angry thoughts about what isn't happening or the way the world looks to you, you're not going to have a very good relationship with life. Yet a dysfunctional relationship with life is really nothing more than a dysfunctional relationship with the present moment. Again, life only gets lived in the now. Rather than seeing your present moment as an obstacle, see it as the supreme miracle. Wayne, this is the only moment you have, is a sentence I often say to myself to keep me on friendly terms with the now. Think about that. The only moment you have. When you realize the significance of this, you'll immediately want to shift into a state of awe and gratitude for it, regardless of what is transpiring. I do this frequently in my yoga practice, particularly when I'm challenged by a difficult posture. Balancing on one leg and holding the other one straight out with my hands cupped beneath the ball of my foot is a challenge that leads me to murmur, "Be here now, Wayne. There's a time for being exhausted, and there will be a time for resting, but it's not here yet, so just stay in the present moment." And of course it always passes, but the next moment that shows up amazingly also shows up as a now, and the next, and so it goes with every experience of life. Removing judgment. I've discovered that I have greater success with being fully present when I remove judgment from what I'm experiencing. Rather than making an event a bad or a good experience, I find myself simply being in the isness of the moment. That is, what I'm feeling is much more helpful than why it isn't what I think it should be. This is called allowing rather than resisting what is. Even if I wish to change the moment, it's far more useful to allow it without any judgment and then notice everything I can about it. The more I stay out of my good thought, bad thought routine, the more I'm able to just be with it. I love to observe the instant without any judgment. Birds simply allow whatever comes their way, no matter if the wind picks up or the rain comes, and I work at being like one of those fabulous creatures. The way I do so is to ask myself this question: what's happening right here and right now, independent of my opinion about it? Then I notice all that I can take in: the sky, the wind, the sounds, the light, the insects, the temperature, the people, the judgments, everything. I stay free of opinions and just let myself be. In these moments, I don't need an excuse for anything. Even while I sit and write, I'm practicing being present and simply allowing the words to flow through my heart, to my hand, and onto the page with a total absence of judgment. And when I eat my lunch, I work at just being present in a state of gratitude for my food and the experience of eating, rather than using those moments to think about all that I have to do in the evening or passing judgment on the taste, color, or smell of my lunch experience. I try to keep in mind that whenever I react against any form that life takes in the present moment, I'm treating the now as some kind of impediment or even as my enemy. As a child, you knew how to be totally present. I encourage you to become an observer of little unspoiled children. Notice how they don't react to every little disturbance in their world and how they're in the moment and then in the next moment and so on. You can use this kind of non-judgment to practice your new explanation-free identity. Total immersion in the present without judging, that is, simply allowing yourself to be, is a great way to rid yourself of those long-held thinking habits that I'm calling excuses. Be without judgment, and you'll never feel the need for some tiresome excuse to use up your precious seconds, such as, it's never happened before, I'm too old, or it will take a long time. Instead, you'll be in the now, welcoming your constant present moment companion, your source of being, which knows nothing of excuses and doesn't know how to be any place but here, now. As one of my spiritual predecessors, Dale Carnegie, once wrote, quote, "One of the most tragic things I know about human nature is that all of us tend to put off living. We are all dreaming of some magical rose garden over the horizon, instead of enjoying the roses that are blooming outside of our windows today." Unquote. Become one in the present with all of the roses that show up in your life.